You should either settle this now or close down your business. My name is Cesar Quintero, and I'm originally from Venezuela in South America. And at 24, I decided to get married, move to Miami, and start a company all at the same time. Because that's what we do when we're 24. There's no risk at that age. I started a food delivery company that we cooked and delivered meals to people in their office. Mind you, this is 2004, so it's way before Uber Eats and Facebook and all of that. So I had to go door to door and convince people it was convenient to have your meals delivered at the office. The company grew with the market, and with time, we reached $1 million by 2009. I had 27 employees, but I was running like a chicken without a head. I was answering phones, I was subbing in for people in the kitchen, I was delivering meals when a delivery didn't come, I was going insane. Not really a chicken without a head, it was probably a featherless chicken, a legless, featherless chicken. I was a dead chicken by this point because I was doing so many things to prove that my business could succeed. And then came 2012, and we got hit with a class action lawsuit. It was a baseless class action lawsuit, and we were targeted by a woman and an attorney, and we were the 5th company they had targeted. And I took it personally. I said, you know what? I'm gonna prove that I did nothing wrong. I want to fight this. I want to make sure that people know that I was in the right. And all my energy went into that. I mean, who sues a dead chicken, right? Like, I was going through this and going through all of the pain and all of the struggle and going through the process of proving that I was right, that I forgot about focusing in my business. And my business started plateauing and going down, and it was November, Black Friday of 2012. And I had $0 in my bank account, my personal account, and I had $0 in my business account. And I was in this room with an attorney, my hands were sweating, sitting in this table and saying, what did I do? And that's when I look up and my attorney tells me, Cesar, you should either settle this case now or close down the business. And that's when it hit me. What did I have to show for 7 years in business? What was I thinking? Like, my health had deteriorated, my business had deteriorated. Everything I was focused on was not working. Something needed to change. I realized that I was working harder than ever, and the business wasn't showing that. And I was jealous of all my friends that were going through corporate and earning these salaries that I couldn't even raise my salary. And the business was not allowing me to live the life I wanted to live. That's not why I started the business as an entrepreneur. So that day I said, something's going to change. I went through a why discovery process and understood that my purpose was more around my people. My why is to empower others so that they could live the life they want to live, a life by design. And what I realized going through that process is that this has been something that I've had all my life. But for some reason, as an entrepreneur, I was solely focused on the processes, on the systems, on the product, on proving that I was a good entrepreneur and a good business owner. And then I realized I wasn't focused on what I was really passionate about, which were the people. So I shifted that mindset. We started open management, we started EOS, we started different processes to help me empower my people to take ownership of their roles. And within 1 year, we doubled in profit. We grew 30% in sales, and we were able to pay the attorneys in full for everything that had happened. Up to that point, I had confused my leadership in me having to do everything and them not having to take ownership. This changed everything in my life. I eventually sold my business to my employees, and now I live my life doing what I love to do, which is helping others live the life they want to live. You see, I've helped in the last 5 years, I've helped hundreds of entrepreneurs uncover their why and build these processes into their businesses. And what I realized is that my story is not unique. Everyone goes through the same stages and through the same things. And that's what I'm here to talk to you about today. Is the next 30 minutes I want to talk about a model that I discovered and I put together so that we can label and understand what stage of entrepreneurship we're at. And that way we can move through and create a flywheel effect. And I call this model the Evolution Flywheel. In the next 30 minutes, what we're going to do is on the first section, we're going to talk about what the evolution model is and how you can identify where you are. On the second section, we're going to talk about where most entrepreneurs get stuck, and it's stage number 4, which is business by design. And then number 3, we're going to talk about how to get unstuck from these stages and create a flywheel effect so that your first business is your practice round. So let's get started. So the pattern I saw in most of my interviews was around something that everybody was going through in different stages. We were going through individual growth as entrepreneurs and growth as a business at the same time. So I found different stages and different patterns that I want to share with you, and I call these the Evolution Flywheel. And that's a game on the E-myth, the evolution, the entrepreneurial myth, and the entrepreneurial evolution, and the flywheel, which is a Jim Collins reference from Good to Great. And what I love about this is that every entrepreneur goes through this process and this model. And the way I talked about it here is that the Evolution Flywheel has 5 different stages. The first stage is all around the startup, the opportunity. A lot of us get into business by accident or by opportunity, and we want to bridge that gap. So that's when we start proving the model and we start making the market fit and making sure that we can prove scalability and profitability. And then we're putting all our time and energy in growing that business and trying to prove that the model is successful. Then we move to a next stage, which is called the leader by design. We understand that we can't do it all ourselves. So something needs to give, and I need to start delegating out the things that I can't do and understand what I'm great at, what I'm not, what my strengths are, and also be a little vulnerable in understanding that I can't do it all. And that's when we start delegating and we start understanding, where should I be spending my time? Where should I be spending my time, energy, and passion and money, where all the rest I could delegate out? But then we go into the third stage, which is team by design. And team by design is all about having that structure of support, both external through peers, mentors, coaches, and internal through a second in command, an integrator, somebody who can really follow through all your ideas, and a leadership team and structure that can successfully delegate to, and you can take ownership and accountability of all the things in the business. Then we move into business by design, which is stage number 4, which is now we need a business that works without you. We need to start decentralizing yourself from the business and making sure that we can have different stages and an operating system and creating a vision, a common vision in everybody, and a rhythm of accountability where everybody's rowing on the same direction. And lastly, once the business can work without you, we go into life by design, which is, what do I want to be when I grow up? What's my purpose? What is it that I can do to move forward and be more aligned with what I want to do in life? And that's what usually in the entrepreneurial world triggers a different business, another opportunity, and that's why it's a cycle. So something important to know here is that when we're talking about the Evolution Flywheel, it has stages, but as in everything in entrepreneurship, it's messy. We're not all in one stage at a time. As entrepreneurs, we're always in every stage at the same time. So it's like the stages of grief, where you don't really lose someone and then you feel sad, angry, remorseful, and then forgiving. No, you go through all these emotions at the same time. So the same happens in the Evolution Flywheel. You're going through all these all at the same time. The stage number is mostly designed to get unstuck, and we'll talk about that on stage number 3. But you can be building on each of these stages at the same time. The important thing to know here is that if you're stuck in a stage, the important part is to focus on the lowest number so that you can move into the different stages. So what I want to focus on this second section is around business by design. And the reason I want to do that is because most entrepreneurs get stuck here. Because everybody out there tells you that when you start a business, you have to do everything in it and you have to control everything in it. But I'm here to tell you that you don't. This is something that you need to start letting go, and that we need to decentralize you as the owner so that the business works without you. That helps you create value, create systems and processes, and create the life you want to live. That's why you started the entrepreneurial process. So I'm going to talk about 3 different things that we need to do in this stage in order to get unstuck. And the first one is to find the right operating model. When you find the right operating model, what that does, it helps you understand and centralize all the things that you can do in your business so that it works without you. When you're looking for an operational model, like when I was going through my business, I was reading every book, going to every conference, and learning about different things. And I started implementing all these things from different books and different things. And that's the mistake most entrepreneurs make, is that we don't decide on one operating system. We want to keep it simple. We want to keep it sane for our team members. As much as we love change, most people want consistency and predictability. So what we want to do is choose one system so that we have one language and we're all speaking the same language and doing the things the same way. As true visionaries, we sometimes listen to all these things and we want to implement all the things at the same time. And what we want to do is find the right operating system that works for your culture, for your fit, and for the people around you so that it can create consistency and a same language. There's a lot of operating systems out there. There's Scaling Up, there's EOS, there's MAP, there's Great Game of Business, there's OKRs. There's so many out there. The important thing is that you find one that works for you. And that way you find the person and you can implement it either self-implementing or finding a coach or a mentor that can help you implement that in your business. The second piece of this is that we need to have a common vision. There has to be a shared vision in the business so that we're all rowing on the same direction. A lot of times when we start a business, we have a vision for the business, but then our second in command has a different vision, and different people in the organization have different visions. So what we're doing is we're all fighting and pulling on and tugging on each of our directions instead of all solidifying and going to the same place. So Jim Collins famously said, we want the right people in the right seats, but also on the right bus. We want to make sure we understand where we're going so that we can get there faster. So we want everybody in your organization to have the same common vision and have it shared so that everybody knows where we're going and what our part and role is in achieving that vision. And lastly, and number 3, is we need to have a true rhythm of accountability. We need to have a meeting pulse where now that we have the vision and we've envisioned that and where we want to go, now we need to start doing and getting there. So we need to have a meeting rhythm of accountability and transparency where every week we should be checking in and saying, are we on track for the quarter? And every quarter we should be checking in and saying if we're on track for the year. Every year we check in and say if we're on track for the 3-year, 5-year, 10-year. So we need to have a true rhythm of accountability, and this can be in many ways and forms. And in your business, what works best for you is you have some strategic meetings, you have some operational meetings, and some tactical meetings, but you have to have the right meeting rhythm to establish accountability and transparency in your company. So when you master these 3 things, understanding and owning an operating system and making sure that everybody's speaking the same language, and when you have a shared vision and everybody's rowing on the same direction. And lastly, we have a rhythm of accountability and transparency when nobody can hide and everybody knows what everybody's supposed to do and if we're on track or off track to achieve that vision. That's when you evolve from this stage and move into life by design, because your business will no longer need you, and that's when you'll have more and more time to do the things that you love to do and that you're great at. This is where I went from dead chicken to living a life with purpose, because now I was only working in my business one day a week, where I would go to my meetings, go through all the things, make sure that I had all the scorecards, all the data, and then I could let go. And once I let go and everybody took ownership and everything was transparent and accountable, then I had more time to go into my life by design and go into understand my purpose and find the new things I wanted to do. So I started 2 new businesses, and then, and now I was going through every event and everything, and I was being made fun of because people are like, what are you doing in your business? And that's what I realized, that I was no longer in the day-to-day of my business, and I have evolved as an entrepreneur to work on my business, not in the business, so I could do more things that were aligned with my purpose. So that's what I want for you. So to get unstuck from business by design, that's what we need to be doing and evolve into life by design. In the last section for today, what I want to focus on is on understanding how to get unstuck from the stages you're stuck in and how to create a flywheel effect. So as I said in the beginning, when presenting the model, This model is not sequential. You're probably building all these at the same time. As entrepreneurship, it's messy. The only reason we have numbers here is so that we determine where we're stuck, and we can label that stage and then focus on the stage that has the lowest number. So if I'm stuck on 2, 4, and 5, I'm going to focus on 2 so that I can get unstuck from 2 first, and that will automatically trigger helping me get better in different stages in a flywheel effect. So I know today we only focused on business by design, but in our website you can go online and you can see each of these stages and then understand how to get unstuck from each stage. Once we understand where we are and once we label, this is where I'm stuck and what are the things I need to do to get there, then it'll start creating the next stage and the next stage, and little by little, your first business as a true flywheel effect, the first time you're going through this process is hard. It's difficult. It's this wheel we're trying to turn, but then the more we learn from each stage, the faster and faster the wheel turns. So for instance, in my case, my first business took 7 years to get to $1 million, but then I went through all of these stages painfully, and then when my next 2 businesses, they hit $1 million within the first year. Right? Because we already had the leadership skills, we already had the teams we knew, we understood different operating systems and how to implement and what we needed in each section. So everything starts flowing a lot faster, and we create this flywheel effect where we start evolving as entrepreneurs, where your first business is just your practice round. The most common question I get is, Cesar, how do I start living a life by design and creating that flywheel effect you talk about? And my answer is always the same. It's the same way you approach big projects in your business or in life. You have to break them down and take the first right step. So that's what I want to share with you today. I want to share with you the Life by Design assessment. And what this assessment is, it's a 5-question assessment. So it's a very short assessment. And what it does is at the end of the assessment, it'll give you a resource page on where you're stuck and what are the steps and resources you need to get unstuck from that stage and evolve into the next stage. And what it means for you is that you'll evolve faster and faster, and you'll create that flywheel effect so that you can start living the life you want to live. So whether you just sold your business and you're not sure what the next step is, or you're stuck in your business and frustrated and not sure why you're doing what you're doing, or you're growing like crazy and you're not sure how to tackle all the things that come at once, this is where this assessment will help you understand where you are and what the next right steps are in order to evolve as an entrepreneur. I want you to picture a day when you walk into your office and everything you have to do is things you love to do and you're great at. I want you to picture a day when somebody calls you and says, hey, you don't need to come into work today. We got this. I want you to picture a day that your business gives you the life you want to live and the whole reason you started the business. I'm going to leave you with this. 6 years after that boardroom encounter with the attorney, I was in that same boardroom, in that same seat, looking at him in the eyes. My hands were still sweaty. But instead of thinking about closing down my business, I was selling my business to my employees, and at the same time I was registering trademarks in my 2 new businesses. You know, where it took me 7 years to get to $1 million in my first business, it took me less than 1 year to get to $1 million in my next 2 businesses. That was a flywheel in effect. Instead of being jealous of my friends and their corporate lives, I was making 10 times more money than I was ever in my life. And instead of resenting my business for not allowing me to live the life I want to live, I was doing what I love with the people I love and creating a deep impact in the community I live in. I was living the life I wanted to live, my life by design. And that's what I want for you. I want you to live your life by design.